Ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't feel like a draw. It feels like we threw 2 points away. Welcome back to the Jazzyho Chelsea Hub. If you're new here, this is where we break down Chelsea properly, tactically, emotionally, honestly. So if you love real football analysis and you bleed blue like I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We are building something serious here. Now let's talk about this game, because Chelsea versus Burnley was a match of two completely different stories. One story was control, intelligence, fluidity, and tactical structure. The other story was indiscipline, poor game management, and a defensive lapse that cost us. Let's break it down properly. Chelsea started this game exactly how a serious team should start at home. 4 minutes. 4 minutes was all it took. Moises Caicedo, vision, timing, composure. He splits the lines with a perfectly weighted through ball into Pedro Neto on the left. Neto attacks it with pace, drives into space, and delivers a sharp, low cross across the 6-yard box. João Pedro slides in. 1-0. That goal wasn't just beautiful, it was strategic. Burnley came to Stamford Bridge compact, low block, narrow shape, sitting deep. They wanted frustration. They wanted patience to turn into anxiety. But conceding that early destroys that plan. Now Burnley had a problem because if they stayed deep, we controlled the tempo. If they stepped out, we had space to hurt them. That is the importance of early goals against defensive teams. And tactically, this was one of the most fluid first halves we've played. You saw Cole Palmer drifting everywhere. Right wing, left wing, central attacking midfield, even dropping into false 9 positions. That positional freedom makes us unpredictable. João Pedro's movement between the center backs was intelligent. He wasn't static. He was constantly adjusting his angles. Enzo Fernandez was given freedom to roam, appearing on the right, left, dropping deep to dictate tempo. He wasn't locked into one zone. Behind them, Caicedo and Andre Santos were the stabilizers. Whenever the fullbacks pushed forward, those two held position. Whenever transitions happened, they closed spaces. That balance between attack and protection was excellent in the first half. And speaking of fullbacks, Malo Gusto stepping in at left back was outstanding. His movement was aggressive but calculated. Reece James on the right was powerful, constantly overlapping, stretching Burnley's defensive width. We had structure, we had movement, we had tactical discipline. But here's the first warning sign. We didn't kill the game. When you dominate and create momentum like that, you must score a second goal. At 2-0, Burnley collapses mentally. At 1-0, they stay alive. And that's exactly what happened. Second half started steady, still controlled, still composed, but we didn't increase the intensity to finish them. And then the turning point, Wesley Fofana, already on a yellow card, high up the pitch, no immediate danger, and he dives into a reckless challenge. That wasn't aggression. That was poor decision-making. At this level, game intelligence matters more than passion. You are already booked. You cannot engage in unnecessary duels in that area of the pitch. That challenge was borderline straight red, even without the first yellow. And just like that, we're down to 10 men. Now the game changes. This is where leadership and composure are tested. Yes, adjustments were made. Yes, we tried to protect the team. Palmer was taken off. Understandable from a fitness management perspective. But here's where I question the response. When you go down to 10 men at 1-0, you have two choices. Stay brave and threaten on transition. Defend intelligently and manage moments perfectly. What we did was lean heavily defensive. And that's fine if you defend properly. 90 plus 4. Corner kick. This is basic football. You are a man down. You know Burnley's only realistic path is set pieces. In a box full of blue shirts, how is someone allowed a free header? That's not about tactics. That's about communication. That's about responsibility. That's about mentality. You cannot have 5-6 defenders inside the box and still leave a player unmarked. That equalizer was avoidable, completely avoidable. And that is why this feels like a loss. Let's be honest. The system works, the movement works, the midfield balance works. Caicedo and Andre Santos controlled transitions brilliantly. Chalobah, credit where it's due, was immense. Last-ditch tackles, blocks, awareness. He saved us multiple times. But football at the top level punishes small margins. One missed chance, one reckless tackle, one defensive lapse, and suddenly dominance means nothing. This wasn't about being outplayed. This was about self-inflicted damage. Game management must improve. Discipline must improve. Mental concentration in key moments must improve. Because if we want to compete seriously for top 4 for titles, these are the details that define elite teams. I feel disappointed, not because we were bad, but because we were good enough to win comfortably. The structure is there, the identity is forming, but maturity in moments, that's the next level. We cannot keep allowing teams to stay alive when we have them under control. So now I want to ask you something serious. Is this just a temporary setback from a developing team? Or does this squad still lack the ruthless mentality needed to close games when it matters most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate properly. And if you enjoyed this deep breakdown, subscribe to Jazzy Ho Chelsea Hub. We're building the smartest Chelsea community on YouTube.